Well, thanks, Chris. Yeah, I appreciate country tune. So, today we're talking about how we teach spiritual principles and practices to address everyday life. And so love is my decision, and when I decide to change my mind, then things happen. So our philosophy about change your thinking, change your life is more than a motto, it's a method. And that really is the essence of what we teach, the essence of what we practice, and it is so challenging, isn't it, to change thinking patterns and thinking habits. Science of mind is not merely an intellectual philosophy, but a truth teaching. It's both rich and practical as approach to living life freely, fully, and authentically. It offers sacred practices to align us with sacred principles so that everyday experience reflects a greater sense of meaning, purpose, and inspiration. The science of mind teaches that through personal application and integrity and integration of spiritual disciplines, each of us may deepen our identification as and relationship to the truth itself. And the truth itself being that divine essence that each one of us is an expression of. In Science of Mind on page 51, Ernest Holmes says, one of the great difficulties in the new order of thought is that we are likely to indulge in too much theory and too little practice. As a matter of fact, we only know as much as we can prove by actual demonstration. And I think that is so important for us to remember that reading a book, learning more theories, learning more concepts and more ideas is helpful, but only until we learn how to practice the things that we're theorizing about and demonstrating in our lives our principles. It is only then that our lives change deeply and richly. So religious science and science of mind is powerful in the whole idea and the whole concept that not only do we teach theory, but we also teach practice. And we teach methods of living a spiritual life, centers for spiritual living, and coming to the place that we integrate the theory with the practices. On page 318, Ernest Holmes says, what good is the possibility until it is used? What good is knowledge unless we make practical application of it? And that's what we teach in this philosophy. So what are some of those practical applications? I have a little phrase, KISS, and KISS stands for keep it steady and strong. And when we talk about meditation, we need to remember that meditation is an appointment with spirit. It is a saying to the divine and God and the universe, okay, at 8 o'clock every morning, or whatever time works for you, I'm saying 8 o'clock every morning, I am sitting with a heart open and I'm available. Having an appointment with spirit is a simple and strong and powerful practice that allows these principles that we teach to come more richly and more deeply into our lives. So, steady and strong efforts produce a corresponding yield, and consistency of practice equals consistency of results. The more you practice on a steady basis, the principles that we teach, the more that's going to show up in your life in amazing ways. Amazing things start happening when you are consistent and steady in the principles and the practices that we preach and teach. Meditation and affirmative prayer. I'm just going to briefly touch on affirmative prayer. Every class that we teach and every time that we talk about the principles of religious science, the most powerful tool that we have that is uncommon to others is the power of affirmative prayer. And as religious scientists, we teach that affirmative prayer in a 5-step method. The first step is recognition, and that is to acknowledge the presence of the divine, to acknowledge that there is one life, one power, and one principle, and that one power and one principle expresses uniquely and perfectly through each one of us. That's what recognition is. And unification is the second step. Unification meaning that not only do we recognize that one power, that one principle, that one essence, but we are unified with it. We are one with the whole. We are one with the one. And then the third step is realization. And that means that we are not begging God for nothing. We are allowing ourselves to recognize that whatever it is that is holding our attention in prayer is already done, already accomplished. And we just acknowledge it. We recognize it and we acknowledge it. So recognition is the first step, unification is the second step, and realization is the third step, meaning that we already know that it's done. It's a done deal. And then the fourth step is to give thanks for that. Thank you. And this is probably the most important and the most creative of the 5-step process, because it's about feelings. When we thank the universe for the answered prayer, it is the feeling of it that is the creation of it. Thank you. And knowing in a powerful, personal, deep, rich way that it is done. And then we can step back, and the 5th step is release. We've seen it, we've spoken it, we have felt it, and we just let go of it, allowing the divine to fulfill our request, our desire, or whatever the purpose of that prayer is, to fulfill it in whatever way works. And so often we try to outline how we want it to all show up. And sorry, we're just not as creative and as imaginative as the universal spiritual essence is. So if we just step back and allow God to fulfill our prayers in whatever way, we will be stunned by the results. And that is where the magic comes in. Using affirmative prayer, making it work in our lives, is part of the tools that we share with the world. And then having the expectation and to me, for me, sort of Joker-like humor of the universe. Answered prayers can be really very amusing and very creative. And we can trust the universe, the divine, to show up in our lives in such a wonderful way. So the tools that we share in this philosophy to help us change our mind, to change our thinking, our meditation, and the 5-step affirmative prayer that is unique, I think, to religious science. And there's, this hysterical quibbling about, one facet of religious science uses a 7-step prayer model or mode, and then there's this other group of people, which I belong to, is the 5-step. And so we start quibbling about how many steps there should be in affirmative prayer. But it all works and it's all the same, and we don't need to argue about it. So we go to cause when we do our affirmative prayer. We're setting the cause, and then the effect is the answered prayer. So I want to just mention this third principle that I practice, and I want you to know about it. That the week between Christmas and New Year's, I have declared as a personal retreat period. So on Christmas Day, after I leave here, I'm going to go, weather permitting, I'm going to go walk a labyrinth. And then for the week between Christmas and the New Year's Eve day, I'm going to be in silence. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm having a personal retreat at home. So I'm going to turn the phone off, I'm going to turn the TV off, I'm going to not do any kind of email or networking or anything. I'm going to be in the silence, given the cooperation of my dogs, of course. But just taking the time to unplug and taking the time to intentionally be in rich, deep contemplation of spirit is a practice that is not unique to religious science. For millennia, spiritual people have gone to the mountain. They've gone into silence to intensify the connection and the relationship of the divine. So that is my intention for the week between Christmas and New Year's. It's not necessary to go into the silence. We can intensify our relationship with spirit by our intention, by practicing the principles that we teach, by practicing a discipline of our thoughts, to call our thoughts into alignment with good. To turn off all of the negative conversation that we are so besieged with on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis. All of the negativity, all the criticism and the judgment that we're surrounded with, and to discipline ourselves to step to a higher plane to think the truth, that it is all good and it is all God. That's the truth. And the rest of it is made up. It has no substance. It has no truth. But for whatever reason, and I don't know, that's really the puzzlement, isn't it? Humankind seems to need conflict, anger, judgment, and I think it's just pure entertainment. But coming to the place on a personal basis to be aware that it is all good and the universe is skewing to the good, unfolding the good, often despite our best efforts otherwise, at our best efforts at negativity and anger and judgment and blah, blah, blah. The truth of the matter is, each one of us can have a full, rich, happy, joyful life by practicing the principles that we teach, by being mindful of what our thinking is creating, by having a deliberate intention of connection with the divine through meditation and through prayer. And to absolutely stand in integrity, our own personal integrity of alignment with the divine, standing for good, standing for peace, standing for justice, standing for love, standing for incorporating all of the various aspects of the way God shows up in so many people, in so many different lifestyles, and knowing that it is all good, and standing for that good. So as religious scientists, as we approach the new year, doing our part on a personal level, doing our personal work to put overalls on our desires and our wishes, to get to work on it by meditating, by praying, and being in the silence. Then blessings begin to show up for us and for those that we know and those that we love in unique and powerful ways. It is my personal intention to make this holiday season a season of deep, rich spiritual practices. And I would invite each one of you to just take a look at your lifestyle and take a look at what's going on in your life and seeing if there isn't a way or a place or a space for you to personally also enrich your spiritual life. The benefits are huge, not only to you, but to everyone that you encounter. Because there is that vibration that you project that is filled with peace and harmony and love and acceptance. So as we walk through the world, as we walk through our lives, those personal connections with Spirit have deep, abiding ramifications for everyone that we encounter. So that's what I have to share with you today. I wish you all happy holidays on that rich, deep level. And you know I love you all. Namaste. So I'd invite Kate to join me. Steve and Susan are in Las Vegas this week. So I invite you to just turn within with me. As I acknowledge that one power, that one presence, that one glorious essence that moves through, around, and within each one of us. I invite you to join with me as I acknowledge my personal expression of that unifying one that I call God. And I acknowledge each of us as God made manifest. And my heart opens right now, this moment, to our beloved Steve and Stephen, wherever he may be, and to Dick and Judy and Margot, as they sort through the circumstances and the situations of Stephen making his transition. I declare and know that the divine comforter rests in and around and through each one of them. I open my heart to all that are experiencing challenges that may be in pain, both physically and emotionally, spiritually. And I call forth peace for each. I know that God is at work, guiding and directing and healing and blessing each and every one of us, each and every one of us on this planet. In this moment, I have absolute, utter faith in the wisdom of the divine as it is unfolding in glorious, unexpected, joyful ways. In this moment, I have absolute, utter confidence in the power of my word, because my word is the word of God speaking through me, and that's not unique for me or to me. That belongs to each one of us. And so as we practice the tools and the skills that we are given, we notice that all is well, genuinely, sincerely, gloriously. And I give thanks for that. I give exuberant, joyful, lavish thanks for all of the good that is flowing in and around and through each one of us, specifically and collectively. And then I just allow myself to get out of the way and to allow God. And so